Over the past few videos, we have been sharing all of our travels through our cruise ship ports, but now we are spending the next week in the UK. We have 3 cities mapped out, and today we're spending 24 hours in London.
Since we have 24 hours in London, Connor and I are going to be walking you guys around, seeing the most popular tourist areas as well as some new ones to us and hopefully to you guys. We're going to start at Big Ben and then we are going to walk the river along, see all of the bridges and everything we can see that's close to that. And then tonight we are going to take you to our favorite restaurant. It is delicious and I can't wait to go back.
Amelia has been to London twice in the past, but it is my first time anywhere in the UK, so I'm excited to just see this part of the world. It is funny though, being in a place that does speak English, although they have an accent, but after spending so much time in countries that English is not the first language, it's refreshing to not feel like you are an inconvenience whenever you don't know their language. So that's been a nice change. But so far, it's been a great time here.
Yesterday we got off the cruise ship at Portsmouth at 10:30 and boarded a train up to London. It was only about 2 hours long and it was just nice to be on a train as your mode of transportation, which is very different from the US. And when we got to London, we just walked around and explored, went to a park, and then we went to this restaurant that we are going to be taking you guys to tonight. Connor found it for me and it was probably our favorite meal of this trip yet. Can't wait to be there later today.
Without getting too far into our day, we have already made it to site number 1, Big Ben. There's a ton of construction around here, so it's going to be very loud, but this place is beautiful.
While we're at Big Ben, I figured we'd give you guys some fun facts. Whereas we keep referring it to Big Ben, that actually is just the tower bell inside, whereas the whole tower is called the Elizabeth Tower. This was under construction from 2017 to 2022, so when I came here, both times it was under scaffolding, so you couldn't see any of the tower. It is beautiful to see now. The clock faces are made of opal glass, and each arm in the clock is about 220 pounds. So if that gives you an idea, this tower is massive.
Now the main function of Elizabeth Tower in Big Ben is to actually be a clock, and it was such a fascinating thing back whenever it was built because it is accurate up to within 2 seconds over a 1-week span. And so back in the 19th century, whenever it was constructed, that was impressive, and it just helped to keep people on time, and I think it is still pretty much used to this day. It stands over 100 meters tall, and honestly, this is just one of the prettiest clocks and towers I've ever seen.
I was just telling Connor that I feel like today is the first day that feels like we're exploring abroad. Yes, we've been around here for 2 weeks exploring international areas, but everything today feels more of like a historic landmark, whereas the other places, yes, there was a lot of history there and famous things to see, but they were more landscapes than buildings. And today I think we're exploring more buildings just because London's famous parts of the city are mainly buildings. And it just feels funny to now today, 2 weeks in, feel like we are actually exploring abroad. We still have about a week left, so that feeling won't go away, but it's fun to feel like you were somewhere very different from the US.
It really hasn't felt too different being in London than from anywhere else we've been. But whenever we got off of the train, we walked up the staircase out to the main street, and the first 2 things we saw were a double-decker bus and a very London-looking taxi. And I was like, okay, that's it. We're in the UK. And it hit so hard seeing those 2 things. We're walking now across Westminster Bridge. You have a great view of Elizabeth Tower and Big Ben in the back. And there's the London Eye. Amelia has done it in the past and says it's not worth it. So if you disagree with her, let us know in the comments. But we don't have all that much time today, and a 1 or 2 hour Ferris wheel ride is gonna eat up a little bit too much of our day.
Am I there?
No. There we go.
Yay! Had to.
The rest of the walking tour that we found online does lead us around the river over towards the eastern part of London, and then from there we can cross back and check off a few more popular destinations. But so far it's very busy down here. It's a Monday, and whenever we were walking around yesterday on Sunday, as expected, it was packed. Felt like you were in downtown New York Square like the whole time, but a little less people, not that many less though.
On our way to the bridge, we popped into a cathedral because it has been so much construction and so much noise on this walk. So we just wanted a little break, and it ended up being the oldest Gothic church in London. So that ended up being really cool. It was a very nice break from the noise, peaceful and quiet in there. But now we are off to another famous landmark.
We have made it to the London Bridge area, and while I think London Bridge is technically a group of bridges, the most well-known one is called Tower Bridge, and that's where we're walking to next.
We made it to the Tower Bridge, which is the very famous bridge here in London. It was built in 1886, and I believe there's some stories out there that it may or may not have collapsed, but it has never come down before. There's been one tragic accident on this bridge, showed that a bus came across and the tower was going up, and I don't really know anything else about that, but I thought that was interesting. It's very busy here. We're gonna walk across and make our way to somewhere new. Okay, that was really cool. Connor just looked down and goes, "That's a seal!" And it was. Wait, that's crazy. I didn't know there were seals in London. That was really cool.
We are away from the river now and walking towards St. Paul's Cathedral. We have been walking non-stop for about 3 hours now. I'm curious to see how many miles it's been. But once we get to the cathedral, we can hop back on the tube and take it pretty close to the restaurant that we're going to be eating at. It would be like a 4-mile walk, and I don't think we have enough energy for that. So once we get to the cathedral, look around there, then it's back down to the train station. We have made it here to St. Paul's Cathedral. This cathedral is over 1,400 years old and is still an active church. One of the defining features is the dome, and it is the second largest in the world at 111 meters tall, or 366 feet inside. It's very impressive, and this area is beautiful.
While the cathedral is beautiful too, they have a gorgeous garden around here where you could just hang out with some lunch, which people are doing. And also, the two facts that I found the most interesting about this cathedral is Martin Luther King Jr. gave a sermon here, and it is also the highest honor in London to be buried here. I believe it said there were only like 3,500 people buried here, and with the history that this cathedral has, that is not too many. So it is very cool to just be in its presence. We're not going inside because you have to pay for it, and we are hungry. We're heading towards the train station now and headed towards our lunch dinner.
This is a Central Line train to White City.
We're sitting at Mayfair Chippy. We ordered some mussels in white wine and garlic sauce, and then we did a classic gluten-free fish and chips. We came here last night and the food was really good, so we booked a reservation for lunch while we were still at dinner here last night, because Amelia does not get gluten-free fish and chips all that often, so while we're here, we have to get it twice.
It was the perfect surprise for me because Connor found this about a week ago and said, I found a perfect restaurant for us in London, and it ended up being a gluten-free fish and chips. I haven't had fish and chips in years, so for us to be able to have it together is so nice and it's delicious. So we're back. It's gonna be too hot. I'm so excited.
We are finished with our lunch/early dinner at Mayfair Chippy. The gluten-free fish and chips is honestly really tasty. I think it's one of those places that if you're there for a pub feel and like cheap, good, regular fish and chips, it's probably not the place for you. But I was only able to find like 2 gluten-free fish and chip spots in London. So for us, it made sense because we were able to get that for Amelia. So if you have been here and you have a great pub with good fish and chips, please leave that spot down in the comments. That way we can try to check it out next time we're in the area. But for now, if you are gluten-free and you've been craving that as well, Mayfair Chippy is a good spot. If you're not, I'm sure there's better ones, but we're limited on what we can do. We're now gonna kind of walk around the area back towards our hotel, If we can find a cool pub to pop into on the way, we may just have to.
Sort of transition from being